I think everything that we have to speak about today, they intertwine. They all play crucial roles with a successful business if we pay attention to each element. So what I'd like to start with is the visual side of business and presentation element of business, which is quite broad. I think that the best starting point is an awareness of it and to be aware of what your business looks like. And when you've been in business for a very long time, sometimes it is a case of not seeing the wood for the trees or losing the objective eye.
Yeah, you need a fresh eye.
That's right. So I think if you're ready for change, or if you have that strong backbone and you're actually wanting to change the horizon, perhaps, if business hasn't been so great, or perhaps it is okay and you're just wanting to increase sales, it's taking a fresh look and actually taking on other people's opinions and inviting opinion on how they see things.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more managemental, if that's a word, instead of...
It's a good word. It's a Joe word.
So instead of whacking on a bunch of flowers on your desk, you're sort of thinking more taking a managerial sort of bookwork look at your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but using people to do that.
Yes, and there are a number of different types of businesses. With the visual side, we're looking more at businesses that have a retail presence rather than home businesses. But still, these elements certainly do interchange into both styles of business. But as far as retail goes, and if we look at the main street in any town, and let's look at Kilmore, that's who we're interested in.
Yes.
The main idea with store presence is you want to attract people to the store and you want return visits. That's where store presentation is really important, and it's directly linked to sales and income. So that alone is the first point that we need to be aware of. There's no getting around that. It's a changing environment. In the last few years, we have online shopping. That's as much of competition as the shop that's right next door to us.
Even more so, I think.
Yeah. It's accessible at 3 a.m.
Exactly. I was just about to say day or night.
That's right.
You don't have to get dressed to use it.
Yeah, so it's there, but I think as with a lot of competition, it can also be healthy, and it can also help you to stand back and take a look at your own business, which we should be doing on a daily basis to see how we can change things and ask ourselves some questions. Are we up to date? Are we current? Are we being competitive, and are we in line with other stores and other businesses? And also the best way to do that is to perhaps look at other businesses, actually take yourself off and go, and perhaps if you don't have a full day, but part thereof, next time it might even be a case of being in the city or other rural areas, and look at some stores that you find yourself attracted to.
Absolutely.
And try and break down what that element of attraction is, what is drawing you in.
I mean, what's original anymore?
Yeah, well, funny you should say that, Jo, because there are so many larger stores. When you visit the city, competition's pushing smaller stores out, and that's also the beauty of being in a rural space, is that we don't have necessarily a lot of larger businesses. We have smaller businesses, and apparently that's what people are craving. The smaller businesses offering variation and authenticity and just a genuine experience.
I think it's because it gives more personal touch as well. If you're going into those larger department stores somewhere down the city, it's a very impersonal experience, even though it's still a face-to-face transaction. It's a closed-off face-to-face transaction, whereas if you're in a small business, it's definitely more personal. Even just being in the same town, you can talk about what's happened in town that day or what's coming up. A little bit of a conversation. It just opens it up. It just makes it a better experience all around.
And that's all part of building loyalty, which is one of the 5 objectives for retailers. The first one is implementing your strategy, the retailer's strategy. And then the second one is building loyalty, which we just touched on. But I think it's probably the most important of all 5. Increasing sales, that's what we want to do for our income. And then controlling costs, and then meeting legal requirements. So if I skip along to number 2 about building loyalty, I say it's complex, but it's actually not so difficult.
So many ways.
But there are so many aspects.
Let me micromanage your business. I'll help you.
So we want to provide a rewarding shopping experience for people, and what we have today, our clients and customers might look a little bit different to perhaps how they looked 10 years ago. But nobody has any time, and we all know that. And the 2 categories that customers fit into, and the reason why they don't have time, is because you have families where both people are working, or you might have a family with separation. So you have one person running the show, and so they have a lot to do. So either way, you have a time poor situation. So people are spending less time shopping, which is also why online shopping has increased in popularity over time. What we need to do is realise that. You need to attract people to the store, and you need to keep them when they're in there. The experience of shopping and why people come to shop can be divided into two sections, which is utilitarian.
Yep.
So basically you go in, you have a list or you have a need and you want to fulfill that. And that can be broken down into a number of things. But when the shopper comes in, they need to be able to see, it needs to be very visual, what they want, to be able to access it and also access the information. That also relates to the time poor situation. It needs to be fast because you want them to know that when they come back, if it's been a successful experience,
Absolutely.
that will happen again. You want to keep them in the store when that is possible, and that's the hedonic part of the experience. So department stores, for example, the first floor is always perfumes and makeup because aesthetically it's what draws us in.
Oh, it smells beautiful.
And it's the senses, Jo. So it's not just visual.
It is the senses, yeah.
It's the senses. They have the opportunity to engage us.
And they've always got a free sample, which is sort of like, oh, I've gotten something for nothing.
It's very engaging.
It is very
Absolutely.
engaging.
I love those little cardboard thingies. They go in my handbag to make it smell nice all the time.
Everyone loves something for nothing.
Talking about how shoppers have changed the way they shop. Shopkeepers need to keep up with that. You can't just serve one customer at a time these days. You've got to make some eye contact with someone who walks in the door, let them know you've seen them. Look at their body language. Are they in a big rush? Have they got kids? Or are they in that state of, I just want to have a poke around? Actually, you can quickly say, excuse me, to your current customer, are you in a rush, love? I won't be long, or it's over there. No customer is going to mind if you show another customer some respect.
Because that will be them.
One day.
That could be them next time. And talking about places that get busy and vibrant is what we love about shopping. We can go into a shop and there's 4 other people there. Great. Get to socialise at the same time and spend my money.
Last week you mentioned about the phone and that part of business being in a queue on the phone. And that's the same as when you walk into a store. You can't serve everyone at once, but you can certainly acknowledge people when they come in on a queue on a phone. It's exactly the same. People just want to be acknowledged and they're gauging how much time, if you haven't recognised them and acknowledged them, they don't know how long they're going to be or how long your attention is going to be. So that's very important. And also once they know that you know, they'll keep looking at the merchandise.
Or they might buy more if you can sort of learn to keep them hanging around.
That's me. I always buy more than I need to.
I saw you earlier.
I'm a shocker.
You were.
So that's impulse buying, Belinda. So absolutely. And that needs to be strategically placed throughout the shop.
So that certain shop where we were this morning, well done.
Yes, well done.
That little basket of stuff there. Impulse buying. The price tag was up. Like I saw the price tag and thought, oh, great price to spend on these little gifts.
How wonderful is that sense of community? One retail outlet helping another.
Fantastic.
Totally different businesses. And that's where
yes.
competition, in this case it wasn't competition, but that's where competition can be really healthy. And instead of panicking when someone in the vicinity of your business opens up another similar business, it can actually go for you and it gives you an opportunity to think about what your point of difference is. And it can make you stand up and shake the dust off a bit. And customers coming into your store shouldn't be a given, and it won't be. They need to be coming in because you have something different to the next person and because your experience in that shop has been something that you want to experience when you return.
Yeah.
And that is
Has to
what
be
return
positive.
visits are all about.
And another great thing, an idea I had while you were talking about giving your shop a shake-up, whether it be painting it or some new furniture or just having a look at the structure of it, is it gives you a chance to see what sort of stock you've got lying around. And, okay, am I going to discount this stock because it sort of becomes some negative energy if you look at a shop as in feng shui or how boxes stacked up. A customer could come into a shop and say, oh, those boxes were there last week.
And that's something that's been proven, Jo.
Yeah.
There's more success linked with the return visit of your customer seeing, even if it's just one small area, but a new product, at least one new product each time they visit. To do that every day might be a bit of a difficult call, but at least on a weekly basis or every few days.
Yeah, something fresh.
The other thing that is huge, and I think people underestimate, is dust.
Oh,
Now, to go into a store and to see dust on
Absolutely.
any merchandise, what does that tell you? Nothing's being moved. If that's your first time visiting a store, the first thing that would enter my mind would be, does anyone come in here? Is the retailer aware of the stock? If they're happy for the dust to be there, perhaps they haven't been into this area of the shop for a number of days. That whole freshness of business and turnover is not an obvious thing.
it's nice to see a shopkeeper sort of fluffing around and cleaning their shop. And when you come in, you can interrupt them from that routine.
And it makes them more approachable. You don't have to go looking for them. Perhaps a good thing to wrap up from my side of things is to give everyone some homework, to get the ball rolling with some thought processes with regards to your business. One thing might be if you could look at your business, stand outside the shop, stand inside the shop, and just see if there's a theme that runs through everything. If someone was to look at you for the first time, what style category would they put you into? Is your merchandise and the whole theme of the store, is it classic? Is it contemporary? Is it vintage? This will also depend on the product, but perhaps it's so useful and utilitarian that you don't feel that it has a theme, but that in itself is a theme. That's something over the next few weeks to perhaps look at. And one issue might be that there is no theme. So there's no first impression of the store, which is what you want to create. Like it or not, people do like to put what they're seeing
Label
into
things.
a box and
Yes.
label them. So it helps them sort themselves out, and it creates a sense of comfort as well.
The
And
right
security
place.
that they've come to the right place.
Yep.
And then you can take it from there. So perhaps have a look and see if that theme is there. And if not, what would you like that theme to be and that style to be? And perhaps work towards what you can do to streamline it. Having it streamlined and obvious is a sign of organisation and a sign that once you step inside, it will be very clear what is on offer, whether you realise you want it or not. Many different types of purchasing and ways to earn money, the things that people go in because they need them, and especially the things they walk out with that they didn't go in to get specifically. It all leads to visual presentation and how it makes us feel. So that's one thing we can do. And in addition to that, if you're struggling to think about how you'd like the shop to be seen, go for a wander, like I've said, and it might be
Those
other
fresh
rural
eyes.
areas, or it might be into the city. And what stores do you like? Think about that and what attracts you to those stores, and perhaps write a few notes, even 3 notes on that particular business. What is it that you like? Is it particular visibility? Is it a feeling you get? And you might notice that it has to do with the senses. So it might be that that store has some kind of fragrance.
And just use
play a
that
bit-
in your store.
That's right. It doesn't have to be a copy and paste situation.
Yeah.
It can be
Your
it can
favourite
be-
scent.
That's right. And observe and then be influenced by it. You don't have to do a direct copy. But think about what that favourite store of yours, it might smell like. Do they have music playing? How do you feel when you go in? And what is it that envelops you when you're in that store? So if you can do that with 1 or 2 stores, it's a great idea to get yourself kick-started. So that's what I'd just suggest as an idea to get the ball rolling.